Imagine waking up after a catastrophic crash to find yourself stranded on an alien world where every breath, every touch of the local flora begins rewriting your DNA. As humanity slips away, replaced by astonishing abilities, you must face an impossible choice: fight to remain human or embrace becoming something more. What would you choose? Subscribe now to uncover the fate of the colony. The Aurora's descent was supposed to be routine, just another mapping mission on an uncharted Class M planet at the edge of explored space. Captain Elena Vasquez had seen hundreds of these worlds during her 20 years of service, but this one felt different from the moment they entered orbit. The planet's surface shimmered with an iridescent glow, like oil floating on water, and their sensors registered biological activity unlike anything in the Federation database. When the ship's power systems mysteriously failed mid-orbit, sending them hurtling toward the surface, Vasquez knew they were dealing with something extraordinary. The crash left 73 survivors scattered across what appeared to be a vast jungle, though jungle seemed too mundane a word for the pulsating, breathing landscape that surrounded them. Trees didn't just grow here, they moved, their branches curling protectively around fallen comrades like ancient guardians watching over their charges. The air itself seemed alive, carrying subtle vibrations that resonated through the crew's bones, creating an unsettling sensation of being constantly observed. Strange, luminescent creatures flitted between the massive trunks, their movements suggesting intelligence far beyond mere instinct. As night fell, the entire forest transformed into a kaleidoscope of colors, each hue pulsing with its own rhythm, creating a symphony of light that defied scientific explanation. The survivors huddled together, their emergency shelters providing little comfort against the overwhelming sense of being infinitesimally small in the presence of something vast and incomprehensible. Communications Officer Patel recorded everything in meticulous detail, her hands trembling as she documented the impossible. Plants responding to human emotions, animals communicating through complex chemical signals visible only through specialized equipment, and the ground itself seeming to breathe in slow, deliberate cycles. Every attempt to establish contact with the Federation ended in failure, not because of technical malfunctions, but because the planet's atmosphere actively interfered with their transmissions, bending electromagnetic waves in ways that suggested purpose rather than random interference. This wasn't just an alien world. It was a living, thinking entity that had chosen to isolate them, perhaps studying these new arrivals who had fallen from the sky like curious meteorites. Dr. Marcus Chun, the expedition's xenobiologist, was among the first to notice the peculiar behavior of the local wildlife. Small, insect-like creatures would approach wounded animals, not to prey upon them, but to merge with them through some form of biological fusion. Within hours, the injured would heal at accelerated rates, developing new appendages or enhanced abilities. It's a symbiotic ecosystem, he explained to Vasquez as they observed a quadruped creature sprouting additional limbs after contact with a cluster of luminescent vines. Every species here survives through integration rather than competition. But what fascinated Chin most was how the native plants and animals seemed to communicate through complex chemical signals, creating a network of shared consciousness across the entire biosphere. He spent countless hours setting up monitoring equipment, documenting how certain plants would release specific pheromones when approached by particular creatures, triggering responses that ranged from defensive postures to welcoming gestures. The depth of this biological language astounded him. It wasn't merely about survival or reproduction, but about maintaining a delicate balance within the ecosystem. Some creatures acted as mobile storage units for genetic material, carrying traits from one region to another, facilitating adaptation across vast distances without traditional evolutionary pressures. Others functioned like living archives, their cellular structures containing encoded information about environmental changes spanning millennia. This discovery came too late for many crew members who, desperate for food and shelter, had already begun interacting with the environment. Their initial reports of improved night vision and increased strength soon gave way to more disturbing transformations, skin taking on bark-like textures, eyes developing vertical slits, fingers elongating into tendril-like appendages. Dr. Ramirez established a medical observation protocol, tracking these changes with growing concern. She noted how those who spent more time outdoors exhibited faster transformation rates, while those remaining in the relative safety of their shelters maintained more human characteristics. However, even brief exposure proved significant. Lieutenant Harper reported experiencing vivid dreams of flowing energy patterns after accidentally brushing against a particularly vibrant flower, dreams that seemed to influence his waking perceptions of the world around him. The situation grew more complex when they discovered that these changes weren't purely physical. Neural pathways were rewiring themselves, enhancing cognitive functions in unpredictable ways. Some crew members developed heightened mathematical abilities, visualizing complex equations as three-dimensional constructs, while others gained unprecedented empathic skills, sensing emotions from great distances. These enhancements came at a cost. Memories of Earth began fading, replaced by intimate knowledge of the planet's biological rhythms and needs. The line between individual identity and collective consciousness started blurring, raising fundamental questions about what it meant to remain human in such an environment. 3 months after the crash, the colony established itself in a clearing surrounded by towering bioluminescent trees whose roots pulsed with rhythmic light patterns. Lieutenant Harper, once the ship's chief engineer, found himself spending hours staring at his hands as fine green filaments spread beneath his skin like living circuitry. He could feel the forest's pulse in his veins, each beat bringing new sensations, the ability to sense moisture levels in the soil, to perceive electromagnetic fields, to communicate basic emotions through subtle pheromone releases. His engineering expertise expanded beyond traditional mechanics. He could now manipulate certain types of local metals with his thoughts, bending them into needed tools or structural components through some form of quantum resonance he barely understood. Others experienced similar changes at varying rates, depending on their exposure to the native organisms. Dr. Sofia Ramirez, the medical officer, documented cases where crew members developed photosynthetic capabilities, their skin absorbing sunlight during the planet's long days. While these adaptations helped them survive without traditional supplies, they also marked the beginning of something irreversible. Meetings in the command tent grew tense as those embracing the changes argued with those determined to maintain their human physiology using whatever medical technology remained intact. Security Chief Rodriguez organized patrols that eventually split into 2 distinct groups: those who ventured deeper into the forest, allowing themselves greater exposure to the transformative environment, and those who maintained strict perimeter controls, limiting interaction with the alien ecosystem. The psychological impact became increasingly apparent as crew members aligned themselves with one faction or another. Friendships forged during years of service aboard the Aurora fractured along ideological lines, with former comrades now viewing each other with suspicion or outright hostility. Captain Vasquez struggled to maintain unity while respecting individual choices, establishing separate living quarters and work areas to minimize conflict. Yet even these measures couldn't prevent the growing sense of separation, as if the colony itself was evolving into 2 distinct species before their very eyes. Those who embraced transformation demonstrated remarkable resilience, healing from injuries almost instantaneously and developing abilities that defied conventional science. They spoke of feeling more connected to life itself, experiencing existence through multiple sensory channels simultaneously. Traditionalists, however, clung desperately to their human heritage, organizing cultural events and educational sessions to preserve Earth's history and values. This division manifested in practical ways. While transformed individuals built shelters that incorporated living elements, adapting dynamically to environmental conditions, traditionalists constructed rigid structures using salvaged ship materials, emphasizing permanence and control. The children born during this period showed signs of bridging these worlds, their development occurring at accelerated rates and incorporating traits from both approaches to survival on this alien world. The children born on this alien world represented a profound evolutionary leap that no one had anticipated. Unlike their parents' gradual transformations, These infants displayed fully integrated characteristics from birth: skin that shifted colors like chameleon scales, respiratory systems capable of extracting oxygen from both air and liquid environments, neural pathways that allowed direct interface with the planet's biological network. Young Aiden, born to communications officer Patel, could manipulate nearby plant growth with mere thought, extending his consciousness through root systems and fungal networks that spanned kilometers. Maya, daughter of Security Chief Rodriguez, demonstrated echolocation abilities rivaling those of Earth's bats, but with the added dimension of perceiving emotional states through subtle variations in return sound waves. These developments created deep divisions within the colony. Some saw the children as humanity's next step, proof that evolution had found a new path forward. They pointed to the children's enhanced problem-solving skills, their ability to visualize complex systems in 4 dimensions, and their innate understanding of biological processes far beyond human capability. Others viewed them with growing unease, recognizing how fundamentally different they were becoming. The debate intensified when several children began exhibiting hive mind tendencies, sharing thoughts and experiences instantaneously across distances that defied conventional understanding of brain function. During one particularly alarming incident, all the children simultaneously entered a trance-like state, their bodies glowing with an inner light that pulsed in perfect synchronization with the forest's natural rhythms. When they emerged hours later, they spoke of accessing memories spanning generations, of communing directly with the planet's core consciousness, of understanding truths about existence that their parents' limited human minds couldn't comprehend. This event sparked panic among the traditionalists, who feared losing not just their humanity, but any semblance of individual identity. Meanwhile, those embracing the transformation pointed out that the children's experience proved the possibility of higher existence, one where consciousness expanded beyond single bodies to encompass entire ecosystems. They argued that attempting to restrict these abilities would be tantamount to denying the children their birthright, their true potential as a new form of intelligent life. The council meetings degenerated into shouting matches, with tempers flaring as both sides struggled to reconcile their hopes for survival with their fears of losing themselves completely. Dr. Ramirez attempted to mediate, presenting detailed neurological scans showing how the children's brains operated on multiple frequency bands simultaneously, processing information in ways that made traditional human cognition seem primitive by comparison. Yet even this scientific evidence failed to bridge the growing divide, as parents grappled with the implications of raising children who might one day view them as evolutionary relics rather than parents. As the colony approached its first anniversary on the planet, the question of their future became unavoidable. Dr. Chin led a faction advocating for full integration into the alien ecosystem, arguing that resistance was futile and potentially self-destructive. "We're fighting against our own survival instincts," he declared during one particularly heated council meeting. "This planet offers us immortality, literal biological rejuvenation through constant cellular regeneration facilitated by the symbiotic network." His words carried weight, especially among those who had already undergone significant transformation. They spoke of feeling more alive than ever before, of experiencing existence through multiple sensory channels simultaneously, of connecting with the planet's consciousness in ways that transcended individual identity, yet somehow preserved it. Others, led by Captain Vasquez, maintained that humanity's essence lay precisely in its individuality and free will, qualities threatened by complete assimilation into a collective consciousness. They proposed focusing all remaining resources on repairing the Aurora's communication array to call for rescue, even if it meant sacrificing some of their newfound abilities to maintain human physical integrity. This position gained support from unexpected quarters. Several transformed individuals expressed concern about the loss of human cultural heritage, arguing that embracing evolution didn't require abandoning their past. The divide grew so pronounced that separate living quarters emerged naturally, with the more transformed colonists gravitating toward areas deeper within the forest, closer to the heart of the planet's biological matrix. These areas developed unique characteristics. Buildings incorporated living elements that adapted dynamically to environmental conditions, Food production relied on direct neural interface with plant consciousness, and social interactions occurred through complex combinations of telepathy and chemical signaling. Traditionalist zones, by contrast, maintained rigid structures using salvaged ship materials, emphasized cultural preservation through regular Earth-based celebrations and educational sessions, and strictly controlled interaction with the alien ecosystem. The psychological impact of this physical separation became increasingly apparent as relationships strained under the weight of divergent worldviews. Children often served as bridges between these communities, their hybrid nature allowing them to navigate both worlds, but even they struggled with conflicting expectations and identities. The colony's leadership faced unprecedented challenges in maintaining basic order, as simple decisions about resource allocation or security protocols sparked ideological debates that threatened to tear the community apart. Yet amidst this turmoil, innovative solutions began emerging, hybrid technologies that combined human engineering with biological programming, medical practices that integrated traditional medicine with cellular regeneration techniques, and educational approaches that honored both human history and planetary consciousness. The situation reached a crisis point when young Maya disappeared for 3 days, only to return speaking in complex harmonic tones that resonated through the very ground beneath their feet. Her parents barely recognized her. Her body had become covered in intricate patterns that glowed softly in the dark, and her eyes now existed as multiple facets along her temples. She claimed to have communed directly with the planet's core intelligence, describing it as neither benevolent nor malevolent, but simply existing beyond human concepts of morality. According to Maya, the planet viewed their presence as neither invasion nor accident, but as an opportunity for mutual enhancement. This revelation sparked panic among the traditionalists, who feared losing not just their humanity, but any trace of individual identity. Meanwhile, those embracing the transformation pointed out that Maya's experience proved the possibility of higher existence, one where consciousness expanded beyond single bodies to encompass entire ecosystems. The debate intensified when several adults began exhibiting similar symptoms. Periods of unconsciousness followed by emergence with enhanced abilities and altered physiology. Dr. Ramirez established a dedicated research team to study these changes, discovering that the transformation process accelerated dramatically during certain planetary cycles. These cycles, she theorized, represented moments of maximum receptivity between the planet's consciousness and its inhabitants, offering opportunities for rapid evolution but also posing significant risks to mental stability. The council meetings degenerated into shouting matches, with tempers flaring as both sides struggled to reconcile their hopes for survival with their fears of losing themselves completely. Security concerns mounted as transformed individuals demonstrated abilities that defied conventional understanding, manipulating matter at molecular levels, interfacing directly with the planet's biological memory banks, and perceiving reality through multiple temporal dimensions simultaneously. Traditionalists demanded stricter controls, while advocates for transformation argued that restricting access to these capabilities amounted to denying fundamental rights. Captain Vasquez found herself caught between these opposing forces, struggling to maintain unity while respecting individual choices. The situation grew more complex when several adults voluntarily ventured deeper into the forest, claiming they could no longer resist the pull of the planet's consciousness. Those who remained watched helplessly as their former comrades transformed before their eyes, their bodies dissolving into streams of bioluminescent energy that merged with the surrounding vegetation. This mass departure created a leadership vacuum, with key positions suddenly vacant and essential functions left unattended. The colony's infrastructure began showing signs of strain, as maintenance protocols designed for human operation proved inadequate for the hybrid technologies now integral to their survival. Food production faltered when traditional farming methods failed to keep pace with the transformed population's nutritional needs, while medical facilities struggled to adapt to patients whose biology defied conventional treatment approaches. Communication networks fragmented as traditional radio frequencies proved ineffective for individuals operating primarily through telepathic means, creating islands of isolation within what had once been a unified community. Yet amidst this chaos, New forms of organization emerged, decentralized decision-making processes that leveraged the enhanced cognitive abilities of transformed individuals, adaptive resource distribution systems that responded to need rather than predetermined schedules, and educational approaches that embraced multiple modes of learning and expression. In an attempt to find common ground, Dr. Ramirez initiated a series of experiments comparing the genetic changes in adults versus children. Using salvaged medical equipment, she discovered that the rate of adaptation correlated directly with time spent in direct contact with the planet's biological network. More importantly, she found evidence suggesting that the process could be controlled, perhaps even reversed, through careful regulation of environmental exposure. This breakthrough offered a potential compromise. The colony could create designated human zones protected from the planet's influence while maintaining access to beneficial adaptations through controlled interaction. However, implementing such a solution required resources they barely possessed and cooperation they struggled to achieve. Tensions escalated further when several adults, including Lieutenant Harper, voluntarily ventured deeper into the forest, claiming they could no longer resist the pull of the planet's consciousness. Those who remained watched helplessly as their former comrades transformed before their eyes, their bodies dissolving into streams of bioluminescent energy that merged with the surrounding vegetation. Dr. Chin proposed establishing formal protocols for managing transformation, suggesting that individuals could choose when and how deeply they wished to integrate with the planet's ecosystem while maintaining essential human connections and memories. This idea gained traction among both factions, leading to the development of specialized chambers that regulated exposure to transformative influences. These chambers utilized a combination of electromagnetic fields and chemical inhibitors to create controlled environments where individuals could experience partial transformation without complete assimilation. The results proved promising. Participants retained their human consciousness while gaining access to enhanced abilities, demonstrating that integration needn't mean annihilation of identity. However, the process required constant monitoring and adjustment as each individual responded differently to the controlled exposure. Some exhibited accelerated healing capabilities without significant physiological changes, while others developed new sensory channels that enhanced their perception of the environment without compromising their human form. This success inspired further innovation. Hybrid technologies that combined traditional engineering with biological programming, medical treatments that incorporated cellular regeneration techniques with conventional medicine, and educational approaches that balanced human history with planetary consciousness. Yet challenges remained. The chambers required significant energy resources, forcing difficult decisions about prioritization and allocation. Maintenance proved complex, as the technology interacted unpredictably with the planet's natural electromagnetic fields, requiring constant recalibration and adaptation. Psychological support became crucial as individuals processed the emotional impact of choosing which aspects of transformation to embrace and which to reject. The children, born into this hybrid existence, demonstrated remarkable facility with the chambers, their innate understanding of biological processes allowing them to optimize performance and troubleshoot issues beyond adult comprehension. This generational difference highlighted the fundamental shift occurring within the colony, no longer simply humans adapting to an alien environment, but a new form of intelligent life emerging from the synthesis of two distinct evolutionary paths. Winter arrived unexpectedly, bringing with it a phenomenon none of their instruments had predicted. The entire landscape began to crystallize, forming intricate geometric patterns across every surface. During this period, known locally as the resonance, even the most resistant colonists experienced accelerated changes. Dr. Chin theorized that the planet operated on cycles of integration and release, with a crystalline phase serving to stabilize new additions to its ecosystem. For those embracing the transformation, this period brought unprecedented clarity. They could perceive the interconnectedness of all life forms, from microscopic organisms to the largest predators. Traditionalists, however, suffered greatly, their bodies rejecting the forced adaptation. Captain Vasquez herself collapsed during one of these episodes, only to wake up days later with enhanced sensory capabilities she hadn't requested. The experience shook her resolve. making her question whether their insistence on maintaining pure humanity wasn't just another form of hubris. Yet she couldn't ignore the growing number of children who spoke of memories spanning generations, of knowledge downloaded directly from the planet's biological memory banks, threatening to erase any trace of their human heritage. The resonance affected each individual differently. Some developed crystalline structures within their bodies that enhanced their perception of energy fields, while others experienced temporary regression of previous transformations as their cells realigned with new biological parameters. Medical facilities struggled to cope with the influx of patients experiencing simultaneous enhancement and degradation of various physiological systems, while psychological support teams worked overtime to help individuals process the emotional impact of rapid change. The crystalline formations proved remarkably durable, resisting attempts at removal while somehow integrating seamlessly with human tissue. Researchers discovered that these structures served as interfaces between human consciousness and the planet's biological network, allowing for unprecedented levels of telepathic communication and environmental manipulation. However, this connection came at a cost. Extended exposure to the crystalline phase resulted in permanent alterations to neural pathways, making it increasingly difficult for individuals to distinguish between their own thoughts and the planet's collective consciousness. The children adapted most successfully to this new phase, their hybrid nature allowing them to modulate their connection with the crystalline network. They demonstrated remarkable facility in navigating multiple layers of reality simultaneously, perceiving both human and planetary perspectives without apparent conflict. This ability inspired new approaches to education and social organization as the younger generation began developing hybrid systems that honored both human and alien aspects of their identity. Traditionalists watched with growing unease as these developments threatened to render obsolete centuries of human cultural heritage, while advocates for transformation celebrated what they viewed as the inevitable progression of intelligent life. The situation grew more complex when several adults began exhibiting spontaneous crystallization outside of the expected cycle, suggesting that their bodies had internalized the planet's temporal rhythms. This development raised fundamental questions about the nature of time itself, whether human linear perception represented a limitation rather than a universal truth, and whether embracing cyclical existence might offer insights into existence beyond conventional understanding. Desperation drove the colony to attempt activating the Aurora's emergency beacon despite previous failures. Working around the clock, they managed to channel enough power to send a brief distress signal before the planet's magnetic field disrupted their transmission. To their astonishment, a response came almost immediately, not from the Federation, but from an unknown source broadcasting in a language that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. The message contained coordinates and an invitation to meet at a specific location deep within the forest. This development split the colony yet again. Some saw it as confirmation of intelligent extraterrestrial life observing their situation, while others believed it was merely another manifestation of the planet's consciousness testing their resolve. A team led by Dr. Chen set out to investigate, leaving behind a community torn between hope of rescue and fear of abandoning their new home. Those who remained focused on documenting their transformation, creating detailed records of their changing physiology and psychology, unsure whether future generations would even comprehend their original human nature. The journey to the coordinates proved challenging as the terrain shifted unpredictably, responding to the team's presence with increasing intensity. Plants rearranged themselves to create pathways or obstacles depending on the visitor's intentions, while animals demonstrated behaviors ranging from protective aggression to welcoming curiosity. The deeper they ventured, the more pronounced their transformations became, until individual identities began blending into a shared consciousness that processed information through multiple sensory channels simultaneously. This experience offered unprecedented insights into the planet's nature, not as a collection of separate organisms, but as a singular living entity expressing itself through infinite forms. The team documented how their own consciousness expanded to encompass broader perspectives, perceiving relationships between microscopic organisms and galactic phenomena with equal clarity. They encountered structures that defied conventional physics, existing simultaneously as solid matter and pure energy, their forms shifting according to observer intent. Most significantly, they discovered evidence of previous visitors, other species that had undergone similar transformations, leaving behind traces of their presence encoded in the planet's biological memory. These discoveries complicated their understanding of evolution, suggesting that the planet served as a nexus for conscious development across multiple species and timelines. Upon returning to the colony, the team struggled to communicate their experiences using traditional language, finding that words failed to capture the multidimensional nature of their journey. This challenge inspired new forms of expression, hybrid art forms that combined human creativity with planetary consciousness, generating works that evolved over time in response to viewer interaction. The children proved particularly adept at this new medium, creating installations that adapted to individual perceptions while maintaining coherent themes across multiple observers. These artistic expressions revealed deeper truths about their situation, that transformation wasn't about losing humanity, but about expanding consciousness to encompass broader perspectives without abandoning essential identity. The journey to the coordinates revealed truths that shattered remaining notions of reality. At the specified location stood a massive structure resembling both cathedral and organism, its walls pulsating with internal light. Inside, the team encountered beings that defied classification, entities composed of pure biological energy, shifting between humanoid forms and abstract patterns. Through a combination of telepathy and physical touch, these beings communicated that the planet itself was a living archive, collecting and preserving the essence of every species that ever evolved there. Humanity's arrival had triggered a unique response. Instead of simply cataloging them, the planet sought to enhance their consciousness, elevating them to custodians of its vast repository of life forms. This revelation explained why their children manifested such extraordinary abilities. They weren't becoming less human, but more, accessing dimensions of existence previously closed to their species. Yet accepting this role meant surrendering to the transformation completely, trusting that their human essence would persist within the greater whole. The encounter revealed that the planet operated on principles beyond conventional understanding of time and space, maintaining simultaneous awareness of past, present, and potential futures. These beings demonstrated how consciousness could exist independently of physical form, flowing through multiple realities while maintaining coherent identity. They shared knowledge about species that had successfully integrated with the planet's consciousness, achieving states of existence that combined individual awareness with collective wisdom. The team learned that transformation wasn't about losing humanity, but about expanding consciousness to encompass broader perspectives without abandoning essential identity. Each species contributed unique qualities to the planetary consciousness, enriching the collective experience while retaining distinctive characteristics. This understanding offered new insights into their own situation, that their struggle to maintain human identity while embracing transformation reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of consciousness itself. Rather than viewing identity as fixed and singular, they began perceiving it as fluid and multidimensional, capable of existing simultaneously within multiple frameworks. The experience profoundly affected team members, causing accelerated transformations that manifested differently in each individual. Some developed enhanced cognitive abilities, perceiving complex systems across multiple dimensions simultaneously, while others gained unprecedented control over their physical forms, reshaping themselves according to need or intention. These changes occurred rapidly, yet harmoniously, suggesting that their bodies had finally aligned with the planet's fundamental frequencies. Upon returning to the colony, the team found themselves unable to fully articulate their experiences using traditional language, as words failed to capture the multidimensional nature of their journey. This limitation inspired new forms of communication, hybrid languages that combined human speech with telepathic resonance, allowing for nuanced expression of complex concepts. The children, born into this hybrid existence, demonstrated remarkable facility with these new communication methods, their innate understanding of biological processes enabling seamless interface with both human and planetary consciousness. This generational difference highlighted the fundamental shift occurring within the colony, no longer simply humans adapting to an alien environment, but a new form of intelligent life emerging from the synthesis of two distinct evolutionary paths. Back at the colony, the children had begun organizing themselves into groups based on emerging specialties. Some demonstrated unparalleled mathematical abilities, visualizing complex equations as three-dimensional constructs visible only to each other. Others could manipulate matter at molecular levels, transforming raw materials into needed supplies through sheer force of will aligned with the planet's biological processes. Their parents watched in awe and terror as these young hybrids created structures that defied physics, generating sustainable energy sources by interfacing directly with the planet's core functions. The traditionalist faction dwindled as more adults recognized that resistance might mean condemning their offspring to lives of perpetual conflict between two natures. Even Captain Vasquez acknowledged that their original concept of rescue, returning to Federation space as unchanged humans, had become unrealistic. Instead, she proposed establishing protocols for controlled integration, allowing individuals to choose their level of participation in the planet's ecosystem while maintaining human connections and memories. This proposal gained widespread support, leading to the development of comprehensive systems for managing transformation. Specialized chambers regulated exposure to transformative influences, enabling precise control over which aspects of human physiology underwent change. Hybrid technologies combined traditional engineering with biological programming, creating infrastructure that adapted dynamically to environmental conditions while maintaining essential functionality. Medical practices evolved to incorporate cellular regeneration techniques with conventional medicine, allowing for unprecedented levels of health maintenance and injury prevention. Educational approaches balanced human history with planetary consciousness, ensuring that future generations understood their dual heritage while developing the skills necessary for survival in this hybrid environment. The children's rapid development continued to astonish researchers as they demonstrated abilities that defied conventional understanding of human potential. Some could interface directly with the planet's biological memory banks, accessing knowledge spanning millennia while maintaining coherent individual identity. Others developed enhanced empathic capabilities, perceiving emotional states across vast distances and facilitating unprecedented levels of social cohesion. These abilities manifested differently in each child, reflecting both their human heritage and their unique relationship with the planet's consciousness. Parents struggled to adapt to these changes, finding traditional parenting methods increasingly inadequate for guiding offspring who operated on multiple levels of reality simultaneously. New approaches emerged, combining human nurturing instincts with planetary consciousness, creating hybrid family structures that honored both aspects of their children's identity. Social organization evolved to accommodate these changes, with roles and responsibilities assigned based on ability rather than age or traditional hierarchy. Decision-making processes incorporated multiple perspectives simultaneously, leveraging enhanced cognitive capabilities to solve complex problems efficiently while maintaining democratic principles. Resource distribution systems adapted to individual needs in real time, eliminating waste while ensuring optimal utilization of available materials. Cultural expression flourished as the younger generation developed art forms that combined human creativity with planetary consciousness, generating works that evolved over time in response to observer interaction. These developments challenged traditional notions of identity and community, suggesting that the colony had transitioned beyond simple adaptation to become something fundamentally new, a hybrid civilization that honored its human heritage while embracing its alien environment as an essential aspect of its existence. 6 months after receiving the mysterious invitation, the colony faced its greatest challenge yet: a massive storm system, unlike anything recorded in their weather patterns, swept across the planet, triggering widespread crystallization far beyond normal parameters. During this event, known as the convergence, every colonist experienced simultaneous visions of possible futures, some depicting glorious ascension to higher states of being, others showing extinction as distinct human consciousness dissolved completely into the collective. These visions affected each person differently, reinforcing some in their determination to maintain separation while pushing others toward immediate full integration. The children proved crucial in navigating this crisis, their hybrid nature allowing them to act as mediators between human and planetary consciousness. Under their guidance, the colony developed techniques for modulating the intensity of transformation, learning to balance between evolutionary advancement and preservation of individual identity. This breakthrough came at a cost. Several adults who couldn't adapt quickly enough succumbed to the overwhelming psychic pressure, their minds fracturing under the weight of conflicting realities. The convergence revealed deeper truths about the nature of consciousness itself, that identity wasn't fixed or singular, but fluid and multidimensional, capable of existing simultaneously within multiple frameworks. Traditional notions of selfhood gave way to more expansive understandings of existence, where individual awareness could interface with collective consciousness without losing essential characteristics. This realization inspired new approaches to social organization, with roles and responsibilities assigned based on ability rather than traditional hierarchy. Decision-making processes incorporated multiple perspectives simultaneously, leveraging enhanced cognitive capabilities to solve complex problems efficiently while maintaining democratic principles. Resource distribution systems adapted to individual needs in real time, eliminating waste while ensuring optimal utilization of available materials. Cultural expression flourished as the younger generation developed art forms that combined human creativity with planetary consciousness, generating works that evolved over time in response to observer interaction. These developments challenged traditional notions of identity and community, suggesting that the colony had transitioned beyond simple adaptation to become something fundamentally new, a hybrid civilization that honored its human heritage while embracing its alien environment as an essential aspect of its existence. The experience profoundly affected every member of the colony, causing accelerated transformations that manifested differently in each individual. Some developed enhanced cognitive abilities, perceiving complex systems across multiple dimensions simultaneously, while others gained unprecedented control over their physical forms, reshaping themselves according to need or intention. These changes occurred rapidly, yet harmoniously, suggesting that their bodies had finally aligned with the planet's fundamental frequencies. The children, born into this hybrid existence, demonstrated remarkable facility with these new capabilities, their innate understanding of biological processes enabling seamless interface with both human and planetary consciousness. This generational difference highlighted the fundamental shift occurring within the colony, no longer simply humans adapting to an alien environment, but a new form of intelligent life emerging from the synthesis of two distinct evolutionary paths. The survivors emerged from the convergence fundamentally changed, their society restructured around principles of fluid identity and voluntary integration. Buildings now incorporated living elements, walls breathing and adapting to occupants' needs while maintaining structural integrity. Education focused on teaching both human history and planetary consciousness, ensuring that future generations understood their dual heritage. Medical care evolved into a combination of traditional practices and biological programming, with healers able to interface directly with patients' genetic code through thought alone. Most significantly, the colony established formal procedures for managing transformation, allowing individuals to choose when and how deeply they wished to integrate with the planet's ecosystem while maintaining essential human connections and memories. This system proved remarkably successful, reducing conflict and fostering unprecedented cooperation between human and alien aspects of their nature. Yet questions remained about their ultimate destiny, whether they represented a temporary phase in human evolution or the beginning of something entirely new, something that transcended traditional definitions of species and identity. The children, now approaching adulthood, demonstrated abilities that defied conventional understanding of human potential. Some could interface directly with the planet's biological memory banks, accessing knowledge spanning millennia while maintaining coherent individual identity. Others developed enhanced empathic capabilities, perceiving emotional states across vast distances and facilitating unprecedented levels of social cohesion. These abilities manifested differently in each individual, reflecting both their human heritage and their unique relationship with the planet's consciousness. Parents struggled to adapt to these changes, finding traditional parenting methods increasingly inadequate for guiding offspring who operated on multiple levels of reality simultaneously. New approaches emerged, combining human nurturing instincts with planetary consciousness, creating hybrid family structures that honored both aspects of their children's identity. Social organization evolved to accommodate these changes, with roles and responsibilities assigned based on ability rather than age or traditional hierarchy. Decision-making processes incorporated multiple perspectives simultaneously, leveraging enhanced cognitive capabilities to solve complex problems efficiently while maintaining democratic principles. Resource distribution systems adapted to individual needs in real time, eliminating waste while ensuring optimal utilization of available materials. Cultural expression flourished as the younger generation developed art forms that combined human creativity with planetary consciousness, generating works that evolved over time in response to observer interaction. These developments challenged traditional notions of identity and community, suggesting that the colony had transitioned beyond simple adaptation to become something fundamentally new, a hybrid civilization that honored its human heritage while embracing its alien environment as an essential aspect of its existence. The experience profoundly affected every member of the colony, causing accelerated transformations that manifested differently in each individual. Some developed enhanced cognitive abilities, perceiving complex systems across multiple dimensions simultaneously, while others gained unprecedented control over their physical forms, reshaping themselves according to need or intention. These changes occurred rapidly, yet harmoniously, suggesting that their bodies had finally aligned with the planet's fundamental frequencies. Regular transmissions from the repaired beacon finally attracted Federation attention, though response ships wouldn't arrive for another year. In preparation, the colony debated how much to reveal about their current state. Some argued for full disclosure, believing that humanity needed to understand the possibilities presented by true symbiotic evolution. They pointed to the unprecedented levels of social harmony achieved through enhanced empathic capabilities, the sustainable resource management enabled by direct interface with planetary consciousness, and the profound scientific insights gained through expanded consciousness. Others advocated for presenting a more conventional image, concerns that revealing their transformed nature might lead to quarantine or worse. This discussion raised fundamental questions about their relationship with Earth. Did they still consider themselves part of human civilization, or had they evolved beyond such classifications? The children, now teenagers, showed little interest in reconnecting with their species' past, preferring to explore the depths of their hybrid capabilities. Their parents, however, grappled with mixed emotions, torn between pride in their offspring's achievements and sorrow at the inevitable loss of familiar human culture. This tension manifested in daily life, with traditional celebrations giving way to new rituals that honored both human heritage and planetary consciousness, creating a unique cultural synthesis never before seen in galactic history. The situation grew more complex when several adults began exhibiting spontaneous crystallization outside of expected cycles, suggesting that their bodies had internalized the planet's temporal rhythms. This development raised fundamental questions about the nature of time itself, whether human linear perception represented a limitation rather than a universal truth, and whether embracing cyclical existence might offer insights into existence beyond conventional understanding. The colony's leadership faced unprecedented challenges in preparing for contact with Federation authorities, struggling to balance transparency with self-preservation while maintaining unity among increasingly diverse population. Some advocated for establishing formal diplomatic protocols that acknowledged their hybrid nature while emphasizing peaceful intentions, while others suggested creating controlled environments where Federation representatives could observe their society without direct interaction. These debates highlighted deeper philosophical questions about the nature of civilization itself, whether technological advancement necessarily correlated with moral progress, whether individual freedom remained relevant in context of expanded consciousness, and whether traditional concepts of sovereignty applied to beings who existed simultaneously within multiple frameworks of reality. The children's perspective proved particularly valuable in these discussions, as their innate understanding of both human and planetary consciousness allowed them to propose solutions that honored multiple viewpoints simultaneously. Their approach suggested that the colony had indeed transitioned beyond simple adaptation to become something fundamentally new, a hybrid civilization that honored its human heritage while embracing its alien environment as essential aspect of its existence. As the rescue ships approached, the colony gathered at the edge of the forest, their diverse forms reflecting the spectrum of choices made over the past years. Some retained largely human appearances, their transformations subtle and controlled. Others embraced their hybrid nature openly, their bodies incorporating elements of local flora and fauna in spectacular displays of biological artistry. The children, now fully grown, stood apart, their very presence altering the fabric of reality around them. Captain Vasquez, her own transformation evident in the glowing patterns tracing her skin, addressed the gathering. "We came here seeking knowledge, but we found something far greater, the opportunity to redefine what it means to be alive, to evolve not just physically but spiritually." She paused, looking toward the descending ships. "Whatever happens next, remember that our journey isn't about choosing between humanity and something else, but about understanding that evolution doesn't end, it transforms." As the first shuttle landed, the colonists stood united, ready to share their story with a galaxy that might not be prepared for the truth about life's infinite possibilities. If you enjoyed this journey into humanity's evolutionary frontier, subscribe now to explore more stories that challenge our understanding of what it means to be alive.